let's start. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Parthaya pratibodhitam bhagavata Narayanena swayam vyasena kratitam puranamya madhye mahabharatam advaitamritavarshiniim bhagavatim ashtadashadhyayiniim ambatvamanusandadhami Bhagavad-gīte bhavatveshini Yam brahma varunendra rudra marutaha Stunvanti divyaistavaihi Vedai sanga padakramaopanishadai Gayanti yam samagaha Dhyānāvastita tadgatena manasa Pashyanti yam yoginaha Yasyantam na vidussurāsurana Devāya tasmai namaha Devāya tasmai namaha. Okay, let us see. Let us chant verses from the 5th chapter, number 7, 8, 9 and 10. Four verses. Starting with number 7, Yoga Yukto Vishuddhatma. Yoga Yukto Vishuddhatma Vijitatma Jitendriyaha Sarvabhutatma Bhutatma Kurvannapi na lipyate Naiva kinchit karomiti Yukto manyeta tattvavit Pashyan shrinvan sprishan jigran Ashnan annagachan swapan Ashnan nachan swapan swasan Ashnan nachan swapan swasan Pralapin visrijan grinhan Unmishannapi Indriyānīndriyārtheshu Vartanta iti dhārayan Brahmanyādhāya karmāni Sangam tyaktva karoti yaha Lipyate nasapāpena Padmapatra vivambasa. Okay. So without looking at the book, let me ask you a question if you can remember to answer this. On verse number 7, what does Vishuddhatma refer to? Vishuddha Atma. That's correct. So Vishuddhanta refers to the purity of the mind. So here the word Atma sometimes is used for multiple uses. So the real Atma is the primary meaning of the word Atma, but it also means sometimes the thing which is closest to the Atma, which is our mind, our thoughts, and so on. So all of that can also be referred to by the word Atma. So when you say Vishuddhatma, it doesn't mean the real Atma is purified, because that can never be unpurified. So it only refers to the Atma. So that's one thing. So similarly, same question for Vijitatma. So question is, what is Vijitatma? One which is one who has conquered the Atma. What does that refer to?
Same thing.
The body. The body. To the body. So Vijitatma here means the body. So here, so this verse, just as a quick revision, refers to, so it says, Yoga Yuktaha Vishuddhatma Vijitatma Jitendriyaha Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma Kurvanapina Lipyate. This is the verse. So what it refers to is that in the beginning stages of our life, we are very much controlled by our thoughts that have a lot of background to them, because we have led a life up to that point that influences the thoughts as we go forward. And part of that is our experiences, that if we work towards a pleasant experience, then the results of that work does provide us with a very pleasant experience. So with this record of our experiences, we tend to repeat it. And we tend to avoid things that are not very pleasant. This is the natural way of leading the life. So in doing so, what happens is that you are following the grooves of your mind. And so the mind says, mind meaning that you plus the mind. It's not as though you're the one that is empowering the mind. So a combination of the pure Atma as well as the properties of the mind, this combination follows the grooves of your thinking. And I think this is really very well ascertained by the feeling that we have talked about this before also. I'm just kind of bringing it up again in this context. That if you are not sure what your ultimate goal is, then your steps towards that goal, or the non-goal, because you're not sure what the goal is based on your likes and dislikes. So for example, take this example, that supposing you don't have a plane to catch from San Francisco. You don't have that. And you have a car and you're out for a drive, just in a pleasant weather somewhere. Then what you will do is, you're not going to go into any difficult places. You're not going to go into any construction sites. You're just going to go where the drive is pleasant, where there's trees and the beautiful mountain and so on and so forth. And you're going to avoid any kind of traffic situations that will impede your enjoyment. So just look at this. This is an important thing to see. So really, life is exactly like this. Life is a greater macrocosm of the fact that you're not sure. You're out there for fun. Alright, so this is one thing. Now supposing you have a plane to catch in San Francisco. Now, when you have a plane to catch, you have a very fixed goal in mind. The flight is at 11 o'clock, and people said you better be there at least an hour and a half ahead of time, 9:30. And you and your family decide, okay, we have to start from our home at 8:45. So you work backwards. And as you go into, you look at your GPS and you look at some areas that are under construction. So now you look at to see, is there somewhere else to go through? And they said, no, this is the only way. Then you know what? You have to go through the construction site. If the road is kind of bumpy, it doesn't matter. Why? Because you have a goal to traverse. You don't want to miss the flight. And you're not that worried about whether your experiences are pleasant or not going there. Yeah, if possible, it'll be pleasant. You just go with no traffic. It doesn't happen. You've got traffic, you've got all kinds of interruptions, this, that, or the other. And so, our life is exactly like that. So, the first thing is that the goal of what I am aiming for in my life should be clear. And if it is not clear, then please clarify it. Clarify it from people who have gone through, and they said, this is exactly what we're doing, this is what you should be doing. And what is that goal? Total freedom from all problems in my life. Complete freedom. Even freedom from death. Death of the body. Everything. Complete freedom. Unconditional freedom. And you did not dare to even imagine that this was possible. But if you and I are lucky and we are given some assurance through the Shastra that yes, it is possible. Dream for it. Go for it. And here's what you need to do. That means, from that perspective, it is such an important goal that the side distractions don't bother you that much. And so what happens is that your mind says, like going back to the example of going to the airport. Supposing you have been accustomed to going to some very nice breakfast place. I'm just picking out something. So beautiful breakfast place that gives very good pancakes and so on and so forth. And you like going there on a Saturday morning, having breakfast there. You have a plane to catch, and your mind says, this is a nice place, I think we should stop here. You say, no, not the time to having pancakes, we've got a plane to catch. Exactly the same thing happens in our life. Your goal is not clear. You can have pancakes, you can do whatever you want to do. But if the goal is clear, your mind proposes something. Oh, I think, shouldn't we have some fun? Let's go to the movies. And if the time wasted in movies, you have to think about what is it really teaching me? Because really you have to learn and really direct your attention towards the goal. And if that's not happening, you tell your mind, I know what we did before, but now my goal is this. This is what we're going to do. So this is what is mean by both the Vishuddhatma and Vijitatma. To look at the practical aspects of your life here, because we just say that, Antakarna Shuddhi, and then Vijitatma means that please have control over your senses, Jitendriya, have control over senses, and then you go on. Why do you go on? Because you don't think it is possible. It is too difficult. We're not going to do this. So it's a nice theoretical sentence that Krishna teaches to Arjuna. You understand what the meaning is, but you go on. There's no applicability to your life. But so it's interesting that both the sadhya and sadhana are together. For those of you that came to the Tuesday night class, I gave the same example. And so let me repeat it. It's a very beautiful example that pointed out by Swami Maheshananji. He said, sadhya means your goal, where you want to reach someplace. And sadhana, of course, means the means of getting there. So he says, if you look at it, the relationship of sadhya to sadhana is one of two types. One is going somewhere and reaching the San Francisco airport. Let's say. This is one type of sadhya sadhana. In this type of approach, your sadhana means your travel, directing towards the San Francisco airport and so on, is your sadhya is zero until you get there. In other words, you are not in San Francisco. You still have a plan to get there. I tell you, this is a real life experience. I just to score this point, my wife and I had gone, I forget where we were going, and we were going to San Francisco airport. And we did all that planning, 1.5 hours before and so on and so forth, everything. And I used to park at this Anza parking. And I've been doing that for a number of years. I tried a few others, and that was really the best for us and so on. And our journey from the home was very pleasant. We go up to Menlo Park 101 and so on and go there. All of a sudden we found that the traffic has come to a complete halt. And first we said, this will be okay, no problem, we have enough time. Then we are not moving. 10 minutes have passed by, 20 minutes have passed by, we are stuck. Finally, we found that I can go. We said, good. I go to Anza, and it says the lot is full, and only people with prior reservations are admitted. I had never done reservations before. Now I tell you, we are in serious jeopardy of missing our flight. And the last minute I just went around here and there, somehow or the other. We got in, so it worked out okay. But here's the thing. Until you get to the airport and you're standing in the line with your boarding pass, anything can go wrong, and you're not there. You're not there. So sadhana, no matter what sadhana you have, the combination of sadhana and sadhya is not there until you get there. This is one type of achieving a goal. This is one type. Here's the second type. Beautiful, beautiful example. You are very hungry. You're very hungry. Starving, in fact. You didn't have any lunch, and you can't wait until you have some food. And then you make the food, buy it or make it yourself or whatever, and you start eating. So here, the sadhya is lack of hunger. You are full and you feel good. I'm good for the next 3-4 hours. Sadhana is eating. In this type of combination of sadhya and sadhana, as soon as you start eating, your hunger is slowly going away. Slowly going away. And you eat one, couple of idlis, then half of your hunger is gone. Then you eat one more, some dosa or something, another quarter is gone. Only 1/3, 1/4 is left. So here's the thing, it's the difference between going to San Francisco and eating. So look at this, very carefully, think about this. In the second type, it is not zero all the way and then all of a sudden it's 100%. It is a gradual climb of overcoming your hunger. 10%, 20%, 30%, and so on. And your sadhana and sadhya are mixed together. Because what used to bother you as being you were really starving, you're no longer starving even at half point. Life's progress should be of the second type. So Maheshananji says, this is what you need to do. Your goal is total freedom from all problems. This is your goal. But this goal is not the first type, it is the second type. It's not as though you are, you feel limited, and so on and so forth, and all of a sudden you feel unlimited. It's not going to happen. It is not like that kind of a situation. What it is that remains your goal with being totally unlimited in life. But to be partially unlimited is the baby steps you must take. And those partial the partial baby steps you take have to come with Vishuddhatma and Vijita. Your ability to say no to your mind's previous tendencies and grooves and say no. This is not, I just want, sometimes it is just good. It's interesting, they say that freedom means you can do anything anytime. That's not freedom. The freedom means saying no to your own tendencies also. So who is the dog and who is the tail has to be very clear to you. If you're doing things based on likes and dislikes, then your mind is the dog and you are the tail. But if you reject your mind appropriately, giving in sometimes, but other times just saying no, then you become the dog and your mind becomes the tail. And the same thing with the body. How you utilize it, how much you eat. All of this is very important because until you have, you are, in this word yoga yukta is a very good one. A very good one. Here, yoga yukta means you are together as a person. You are dependable to yourself. Forget about others. You have a united personality. And you know, it's interesting, I've mentioned this before also. Swami Dayanandji was very, very articulate in doing that. He says, you know, what happens is that in moments of overconfidence, you say, you know, yeah, I think I can do this. This is what, this is easy to do, is what happens on New Year resolutions. Yeah, I need to lose 5 pounds. I think I can do it, no problems. From tomorrow on, I'm going to eat less, walk a mile instead of have, you know, several miles, have 1 hour. I think I can do that. And if you have a spouse and you say, you used to say that before, and you have not done this before, what makes you so confident? Well, I'm a different person now. You know, because I've learned from my experiences. This time I'm going to do that. So let's have a party and eat all kinds of things tonight. But from tomorrow on, I am telling you, I'm going to be a different person. And she is chuckling inside. She's saying, well, let us see. Sure enough, she says, shall we go for a walk next morning? And he says, no, right now I'm a little bit too busy. I am not sure that I can go for a walk. And by the way, I'm not sure that walking really helps. It's really exercising in the gym, you know, this walking business is. And didn't you say last night that you were going to walk? Oh, that was last night, you know. So here's the situation. You are not yoga yukta. Your personality number 1 tonight, personality number 2 in the morning. And that's okay, there's no problem. But the biggest problem is that you do not trust yourself being a together person. You don't know who you are. Sometimes I'm good, sometimes I'm bad, sometimes I'm powerful, sometimes I'm weak. It is better to say that, you know what, I don't know if I can walk start walking for an hour every day, but let me start walking for 10 minutes. Yeah, this is what happens. It's interesting. It used to be that television used to dictate our lives. You know, I myself, I would see television, sports, this, that, or the other. And now when I get up from a meal, I see what I've got about 15 minutes before I have to resume something. What should I do? What should I do? You know what? I just walk in my own house. Even if it is very cold outside, I walk. And just I think. Just following the television with all the ads and so on, it's gone from my life. Absolutely no television at all, except for once in a while, if I have to look at something important, gone. I am a master of what I want to do. For 15 minutes, this is what I want to do. So these kinds of things, small steps one has to do. So the reaching of the sadhya in life, Swami Maheshananji pointed out very beautifully, is the second type. Before you start dreaming about complete freedom, be partially free. free of the tendencies of your own mind. And Swami Tattvavidananda's likening of the mind to a child was brilliant. Others also have said it, but this is the first time I really saw someone articulate it so clearly. Swami Tattvavidananda says that treat your mind as though it is your child. Beautiful example. How you treat your children is you give in sometimes because the mind will say, I think we should do this. And sometimes you say no, sometimes if it is appropriate, it's okay. For once we will do this. And understand that the mind, which is of course your own vasanas and samskaras from the past, when your total goal was not yet clear to you. We've all gone through this, at least I've also gone through this, where I had no idea about Vedanta and what we are going and what we're doing. And so then what are you going to do? You're going to do what is your likes and dislikes. That's what you're going to do. Nobody wants to go into some problems. Everybody wants to go into a very pleasant experience. This is what we used to do. But now, having listened to this, I can tell my mind, listen. It's like a child which says, I know you think I should just be doing this because it is pleasant, but I'm not going to do it. Because I have a greater goal in life. So this is what is called Yoga Yukta. Yoga Yukta, which is due to Vishuddhatma, Vijitatma, Jitendriya. If you do that, then Lord Krishna makes a very tall promise to you. And that is, you go to the second step. If you recall, in the last few classes we have talked about it. Swami Paramarthananda was the one who pointed this out. I'll just remind you of it. You will hopefully will remember. There are 3 stages of understanding. And at this point, in this chapter, 2 of the steps are talked about. The third will come later. What are the 2 steps? The first step is that I am a conscious being separate from my body and mind. Very much like an electricity understanding that I have nothing to do with an appliance. I can work with the appliance, but if the appliance breaks down, it doesn't do anything to me. This is the first step. And it's interesting. In the beginning of the life, so you are basically following the lead of matter, the spirit and the matter, the spiritual side and the material side. You are primarily following the edict of the material side. That's just normal. There's nothing wrong with that. You ask the child, and you tell the child, hey, do you know who you are? You are consciousness. The child will say, what are you talking about? Just give me some food. So this is normal. Your life is going to be purely on material. Then as you grow up, you should understand, like a functioning appliance. Functioning appliance means there is a fan moving. and it's doing a good job of circulating air. And you switch it off, you switch it on, and you how to operate that. This is normal. And as you grow up, especially if you're a student of engineering or electrical engineering, you're told that this fan consists of two elements. One is the appliance itself, and the other one is the electricity that empowers it. So similarly, in our life, we should understand at some point that I'm a combination of two things: matter and spirit, consciousness and the expression of consciousness. So with this, it should trigger now an inquiry not only into the matter, but also into the spirit. Just like, for example, an engineering student is told this is the two things, one is an appliance and one is electricity. And yes, here's how you done, this is how a fan is made out of, and fine, that's all okay. But do you know anything about electricity? There, of course, electricity also is a phenomenon which is which is produced. But nevertheless, it has its own laws, very powerful laws. And so the inquiry into the very nature of the electricity is also something which should trigger your thinking. Similarly, here also we are told that in fact we are a combination of matter and Chetana Vastu, consciousness. And maybe in the beginning we do not understand the Chetana Vastu, the consciousness, but it should start the inquiry, just like the inquiry of electricity. What is it? What is it made out of? What are the laws? How long does it last? When did it come about? When was it born? What is it made out of? All those kinds of things have to be done. And so, the first stage of understanding, as Swami Paramarthananda said so beautifully, is a clear understanding of the separation between my body-mind complex, which is an appliance, very sophisticated appliance, and my consciousness, which is completely separate from it. I am Satchidananda. And so now my inquiry has gone further. But at this point, I'm still very focused on myself. I'm not looking at others. I'm not looking at, the whole world or something. This is what the inquiry is, that I consist of two factors, and how the two factors relate to each other, influence each other, this is how I am. This is the first stage of understanding. The second stage of understanding, which is the result of being a yoga yukta, vishuddhatma, vijitatma, jitendriyaha, is sarvabhutatma bhutatma, is an understanding, my goodness, I am in fact the same thing that the others are. It's like, you first look at to distinguish between the one fan and the electricity. Then you extend it to say, by the way, it is the same electricity that empowers all the appliances. Very beautiful, because in one case you have a heater, in the other case you have an air conditioner, in one case you have a fan, in one case you have a light, all different kinds of appliances, all different functionalities, different utility, relevance, all powered by the same electricity. So this is the second one. And here Lord Krishna hints that you cannot have this kind of understanding until you free yourself from following the vicissitudes of your mind and body. Because you're so self-contained in terms of what your vision is, it's not going to happen. Only when you open up can you really realize that, my goodness, this is the next step of the understanding. So this is why it is mentioned in the second line. Very beautiful. And then he says, Kurvanapi na lipyate. Kurvanapi na lipyate, meaning that even though you are, in fact, the Kurvanapi na lipyate, meaning that even though you are involved in the actions, it does not give you any negative reaction. So this is the opening to talking about the Vijita Atma, the Vijendriya, which is the wise person who is a jnani. Who is a jnani? A jnani is the one where outwardly you may be doing things, it doesn't make any difference, but it doesn't affect you to that extent. Here Swami Mahesanji had given a very beautiful example. He said, supposing you are acting in a play, and to act in a play, it is very important for you to know the script. Imagine you are acting in a play and you don't know what the script is. Imagine how chaotic it will be. You are going your own direction and so on and so forth. And so the script says, it's okay. One thing is you don't know the script at all. The second one is very interesting. The second aspect of that is you know the script, but you don't follow it. You know what the script is. So Swami Mahesanji had given this example. He said, supposing in the script they say there is a thief who has stolen some very valuable property from you and is running away. And the script says that you're supposed to go after the thief, get into your car quickly and follow the thief and so on and so forth. This is the script in a movie, let's say. And you've read the script and so on. And the script says, by the way, that despite your chase, the thief could not be caught. This is what the script says. Already predetermined that the way the next thing is that the thief, and then you come back and be disappointed and so on. This is what the script is. Now you start acting and you know what the script is. You know what you do? You say, I'm not going to catch him anyway, why should I go after him? Why should I go after him? He says, hey, you're supposed to run. He says, but I know what the end result is. The director and the choreographer, all they have said that this guy is not going, he's going to outrun me anyway. So I'm just going to sit here. I know the script. He will never get another job after that. That's the end of it. Because it will say this fellow is even worse. If he doesn't know any script, then it's one thing, but if he knows the script and doesn't follow it, he's a dangerous person. So also, we should know what the script is. If we don't know, then really speaking, our life is generally, just like I was telling that you don't know what the goal is, you're just driving around having fun. Here also, we don't know what the script is. And even when we know the script, we have a tendency not to follow it. We say, it's okay. I'm supposed to help someone, but it's okay. So where somebody is so interesting that if I look at when I first came to this country at a 23-year-old, we never went to the hospital. We didn't think of need of what a hospital is. We never had to visit either for ourselves or for someone else. We were all young people. We didn't. Now you go back 40, 50 years ago, most of the time, every day, I find out about serious problems people are having. People are dying. They ask us to go visit hospitals. And a lot of my wife and my time is to make sure that our friends also expect the visits from us, and we take sometimes food for them. All that is happening because we are older. And supposing I say, you know what, I'm tired of doing all this. People are going to die anyway. This is just like, it's just like saying the thief is not going to be caught. This is that version of that. People are going to die anyway. If I don't go there, what is going to happen? What's going to happen? Because, he's a very, very near death anyway. So what's the big problem? The problem is, you will not be yoga yukta. Again, you are following your mind. You're not following the script very well. And so therefore, there will be consequences. There are consequences. If you are supposed to do something, we say in Vedanta, there's 3 levels of initiatives that one can do. One level of initiative is, it is not really required of you, but you do it anyway, going out of the way to help someone. Not really, it's okay, but you feel this is something will be wonderful to do. So this is one level. The second level is something is expected and you do it. The third level is something is expected and you don't do it. And so here, Lord Krishna says, Kurvan api na lipyate. Means you follow the script, but you don't have this feeling that this will make me happier. You just do it. And you find that this is an entry into the life of a Jivan Mukta, the Jnani. So the next 2 verses now talk about this. And so this is how it is. So now we are finished with that. Yoga Yukta Vishuddhatma Vichitanta Jitendriya Sarva Bhutatma Bhutatma Kurvanapi na Lipyate. And so next one it says is Na eva kinchit karomi iti yukta manyeta tattvavit Pashyan Shrinvan Sprishan Jigran. Okay? So much we talked about this. So one thing is, this is a question that comes up quite often. which is that I have a sense that I am doing things. I have to do it. I am the initiator of things. I am a karta. I am a bhokta. This is the sense. This sense, even though there is a little bit of truth in it, largely there is no truth in it. How am I going to understand that I am not a karta, not a bhokta? How am I going to understand? The way of understanding, the direction of understanding is to begin to see that even the things that I'm endowed with, they are all acting on under the overall supervision of the world. By that I mean, for example, I don't do things independently. That's, if the feeling is I did this, I did that. And I have to bear the results of that. The fact of the matter is that your heart is beating. You're not doing it. That you're breathing in oxygen, which is purifying your body, you're not doing it. You can't even stop your breath. Swami Dayanand used to point this out. He says, it is a very interesting thing to see. No one in the history of humankind has committed suicide by stopping his own breath. Supposing you say, you know what, I am tired of living. I've had it. I'm not going to breathe. Can't do that. At the most, you will faint and your hands will become loose. You can commit suicide by jumping off of a building or doing something, but not by stopping of the breath. The breathing is so beautiful. It happens automatically without your help. Are you doing it? No. Are you pumping your heart? No. Is the blood flowing? Is it done by you? No. Yeah, you can direct some things this way or that. Even that is based on your mind and your thoughts which have been given to you. By and large, things are just happening. But I cling on to the notion that I am responsible for my own life. I've got to do this. And certainly to a certain extent you do, but to a very small extent. Things are happening without your permission. And so, the thinking and feeling of the Jivan Mukta is na eva kinchit karomi iti yuktaha manyeta tattvavit. Tattvavit here means one who knows the truth about oneself. That person, no matter what is happening, and so the first 5 of them is the sense organs. Pashyan, Shrinvan, Sprishan, Jigran. Then the next step is the Karma Indriya. Ashnan, Gachan, Swapan, Shwasan. And whether it is Pralapin, Srijan, Grinnan, even when you are eliminating things from your body, both the liquid as well as the solid, there are things happening. Really, so you just go to the bathroom and you say that you get, how did you get the feeling that you have to go to the bathroom? What a beautiful creation. That some things are created for you that I need to go and urinate. That also is given to you. So see the participation of the whole creation of Ishvara. How this is done. No matter what you're doing. Hunger. Quenching of thirst. The whole thing. And here, the feeling of the jnani is, this is a beautiful experience. How I'm taken care of. Yes, I have played a minor role in making sure that I avoid accidents and so on and so forth. Even there, avoiding accidents and so on is based on your prior knowledge, your ability to know. And so, this is the state of the Jivan Mukta, where things happening in life are happening around him or her, and you're not really concerned about that I am doing it. You are just being yourself as you are, as a Chetana Vastu, enjoying the things that are happening to you and around you. This is the sense that Krishna is pointing out. And this is not just theoretical, this is something that can be achieved. So those steps are pointed out here. He says, Naiva kinchit karomi iti yuktaha manyeta tattvavid pashyan shinvan etc. Parapin unmishan nirmishan api indriyani indriyartheshu vartante iti dharayan. That my sense organs are interacting with the Vastu. Both of them, by the way, were created by Ishvara. This is one interesting thing. I'll just close with this and then leave some time for questions. It's very interesting, and this is also elaborately given in the 13th chapter, where both the Kshetra and Kshetrajnaha are talked about. So two things, Kshetra and Kshetrajnaha. So the Kshetra means the field of experiences. Is called Kshetra. Kshetrajnaha is the one who is experiencing the field of experiences. The me, the ahankara. Right? Okay. So here's what happens. Here's the problem. Our aviveka, due to non-discrimination, we hang on to the kshetrajnaha and we think of kshetra as being created. I am different from what is created. You divide the kshetra and kshetrajnaha. Whereas in fact, the kshetrajnaha is also a drishya vastu, not a drik vastu. Ahankara is also a drishya vastu, it's also something that is seen. And my feeling this is who I am is also seen. You are aware of that. You are the unaffected Sakshi that is aware of both the Kshetrajna and Kshetra. And so there when you say Indriyani Indriyartheshu Vartante, that means that me as a Kshetrajna is also a produced Vastu by Ishvara. And the field of experiences is also a produced Vastu by Ishvara. Both of them are reacting, are interacting, not reacting, interacting. And you enjoy by having a sense of separation from it. This enjoyment, where I am not a karta, not a bhokta, will take time. But it is for sure going to help. If I am a yukta atma, I am a yoga yukta, if I am together as a person. So this is the sequence of teaching. that Lord Krishna is pointing out, and we will continue that in next class. Om Asato Ma Satgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityo Ma Amritangamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha Hari Om. Yes, sir.
This Hriday Granthi that we talked about during Vivek, that how is it to be separated from the real
So what I would say
consciousness?
is that if possible, let us keep these questions on what is taught in this class.
Well, you just said that this is not, he's still interacting. You said that this is, he's still the karta, he's still not the consciousness.
Correct.
So that's what I was asking.
It's a different thing. Hriday Granthi is a very different set of topics that we need to talk about. We'll do that sometime. Huh? Let's not mix it up for the time. Let's keep it to the subject matter that we are interacting with, if possible. If not, then we can discuss.
Then my question
Yeah.
is that the observer, he's saying that which is interacting, so that is also drishya. How to
Yes.
separate that actor from the consciousness?
Because what you would need to do is that is very much like in a dream, you are the dreamer character and you are dealing with dreamt characters. Both of them are false. So the way to do the viveka and understand that I am not a karta is to look at the characteristics of the karta, and the characteristics of karta are similar to the characteristics of what is being observed. Both the observer and the observed both have similar characteristics. What are the similarity? Both are changing. Both are transient, unreliable. Just like the dream characters also are changing, unreliable, have a very short lifespan, and so on. And also affected by other. So, in that is one way of looking at it. Now we will examine the various. This is what is called Atma Vichara, methods of thinking. Another way of looking at it is, it's very much like you're looking at your own reflection in the mirror. So there, the reflection of the mirror is conditioned by what the content of the mirror is. It's not independent. Only the person who is looking at the mirror is independent of the environment. So similarly, if my nature as a karta is that I am affected by other things, then I cannot be that. So these are the methods that one has to do. It requires a viveka, very systematic viveka, to wake up to that. Yeah.